LeBron James continues to rewrite the record books at an age when most players have long since retired. The Los Angeles Lakers superstar reached another historic milestone during the team's road game against the Denver Nuggets at Ball Arena on Wednesday night, passing Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most field goals made in NBA regular season history. With his third made basket of that evening, James moved ahead of Abdul-Jabbar, who had held that record for decades and was considered by many to be untouchable. The new all-time list now reads: LeBron James at 15th 838 field goals made, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at 15th 837, and Karl Malone, a very distant third at 13th 528. The gap between the top two and everyone else shows just how dominant both James and Abdul-Jabbar have been across their respective careers. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. This was not the first time James has passed Kareem in the record books. Back in 2023, James surpassed Abdul-Jabbar as the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a moment that stopped the game in Sacramento and had the entire league watching. Now, 3 years later, he has gone back and claimed yet another record from the same legendary player. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 6 championships and 6 Most Valuable Player awards during his career, and he is widely considered one of the greatest players the sport has ever seen. For James to be the man who passes him in yet another major statistical category is a reflection of just how historic this run has been. The fact that James is still breaking records at 41 years old is nothing short of extraordinary. He missed the first 14 games of the 2025-26 season due to a sciatica issue, yet returned and has continued to perform at a meaningful level under head coach JJ Redick. The records have come fast and frequently throughout this season, turning nearly every game into a potential history-making event. He has continued to produce, contribute in big moments, and lead a franchise with genuine playoff aspirations deep into the season. Earlier this year, James became the first player in league history to appear in a 23rd season. The NBA is structured in a way that makes longevity at a high level nearly impossible. The physical demands of the game break down even the most gifted athletes long before they reach such a milestone. James did not simply reach a 23rd season as a bench role player looking to collect one more paycheck. He has remained productive and a core part of what the Lakers are trying to accomplish on the court, which makes the achievement even more remarkable when you consider what it requires to maintain that level of performance. Beyond the field goal record and the unprecedented 23 seasons, James also crossed 60,000 combined career minutes this season, counting both the regular season and the NBA playoffs. No player in the history of the league had ever accumulated that many minutes before him. He also passed Boston Celtics legend Robert Parrish to become the all-time leader in games played, surpassing Parrish's record of 1,611 appearances. Each game James now steps on the floor is an extension of a record that belongs entirely to him, a mark that will likely stand for a very long time given how rare it is for a player to reach that level of durability while maintaining quality play. On the Lakers franchise level, James has also been building his legacy within the organization itself. He recently moved past Michael Cooper to sit 5th all-time in assists in Lakers history, now trailing only Norm Nixon, who sits at 3,846. He also became one of only 3 players in Lakers history to knock down 1,000 or more three-pointers, joining the exclusive company of Kobe Bryant, who leads the franchise with 1,127. These are marks within a franchise considered one of the most storied in professional sports history. The major question now is what comes next. James has not publicly stated his intentions regarding the 2026-27 season. Reports have strongly suggested that his time in Los Angeles is nearing its end, with the Cleveland Cavaliers mentioned as a possible landing spot for a third stint with the team that originally drafted him. The Golden State Warriors have also surfaced as a potential destination if James enters free agency this summer. What is clear is that the records will keep falling for as long as he continues to play, and nothing about his 2025-26 season has given any indication that he is ready to stop just yet. Magic Johnson, one of the greatest Lakers of all time, and a man who knows what it means to wear that uniform with distinction, reacted to the record-breaking moment with admiration. Johnson has been following James's career closely this season and took to social media to praise the milestone, recognizing the historic nature of what James has accomplished in the purple and gold. When someone of Johnson's stature tips his hat, it carries weight. The Lakers organization itself has been watching this historic season unfold game by game, knowing they are witnessing something that may never be repeated in NBA history. The combination of longevity, consistency, and continued elite play that James has demonstrated throughout his 23rd season is unprecedented. No player has ever done what he is doing at this stage of a career, and the records he continues to set are not soft statistical marks. They are the hardest benchmarks in the sport, built against the best competition the game has to offer across multiple generations. That is the legacy LeBron James is cementing with every single basket he makes this season. The Los Angeles Lakers received more bad news Thursday night when center DeAndre Ayton was forced to leave the team's road loss to the Denver Nuggets after just 5 minutes of action due to a knee injury. The timing could not be worse for a player who has already been under significant scrutiny in recent weeks over his effort and production. But in the wake of the difficult result, it was teammate Marcus Smart who stepped forward to defend Ayton and offer some much-needed context for what has been a frustrating stretch for the big man. Speaking to reporters after the game through Spectrum Sportsnet, Smart made it clear that Ayton is not indifferent to the criticism he has received. According to Smart, Ayton was visibly upset about not being able to stay on the court and told his teammate directly how much he wanted to be out there competing. Smart said Ayton was down after the game, approached him personally, and expressed how sorry he felt about not being able to contribute. Smart added that he knows it may not look that way from the outside, but Ayton genuinely understands the scrutiny and wants to perform better for the team. Smart explained that part of what makes the situation so difficult for Ayton is that the frustration comes from a place of genuine effort. He is trying to make things work, but the approach he has been using simply has not been producing results. Ayton is still trying to figure out how to be most effective, and that process has been visibly difficult to watch. Smart's defense of his teammate was sincere and reflected his reputation as one of the better teammates in the league, someone who looks out for the people he plays alongside regardless of the circumstances. The backdrop to all of this is that Ayton came into the season making very public statements about his role and his mindset. When he signed with the Lakers, he was explicit about not being concerned with scoring numbers. He presented himself as someone focused on winning, on doing the less glamorous work, setting screens, defending, grabbing rebounds, and anchoring the paint. Those early weeks of the season gave fans and coaches reason to believe that commitment was genuine, and his production during the first couple months of the year was largely encouraging. Things began to change as the season wore on. Ayton's level of play declined noticeably, and the tension around his role reached a visible point when he publicly stated that he did not want to be used like Clint Capella, referencing the Atlanta Hawks center who is known primarily as a pick-and-roll finisher and defensive stopper. Those comments drew immediate and strong criticism from around the league, including from NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal, who was blunt in his assessment of Ayton's attitude and performance. The perception hardened that Ayton was not delivering on the promise he made when he first joined the team. Austin Reeves, one of the Lakers' most consistent contributors this season, had spoken about Ayton earlier in the year in very optimistic terms. Reeves told ESPN that Ayton was the team's X factor, the player who could change the ceiling of what Los Angeles was capable of achieving. Reeves made the point while gesturing toward his teammate, indicating the belief was genuine and not just a standard line of support. The Lakers clearly view Ayton as a critical piece of their playoff formula, which is why his recent struggles and now his injury have generated so much concern within the organization and among the fan base. The knee injury raises immediate questions about how much time Ayton will miss and what the Lakers' interior looks like without him. Los Angeles will need bodies in the paint during this crucial stretch of the regular season as the team continues to jockey for playoff positioning. The coaching staff under JJ Redick will have to adjust rotations and find ways to compensate for the lost production. What the Lakers need more than anything is for Ayton to return healthy and to rediscover the form he showed at the beginning of the year, because when he is playing that way, the team's potential increases dramatically. The hope within the organization is that the knee issue proves to be minor and that Ayton is back on the court soon, ready to make a real impact when it matters most. It is worth noting what the Lakers lose when Ayton is not on the floor. His presence as a rim protector and lob target changes how opposing defenses are forced to guard Los Angeles in the half court. When he is screening effectively and rolling to the basket, the spacing around him opens up opportunities for players like Reeves, Luka Doncic, and others to operate more freely. The pick-and-roll chemistry between Ayton and the team's ball handlers had shown flashes of genuine potential during the better stretches of the season, and that is the version of the player the Lakers are desperately hoping to get back. Smart's words after the game were a reminder that team chemistry and character matter in this league. It is easy to pile on a player who is struggling. It is harder to stand stand up and defend a teammate in a difficult moment while still being honest about the challenges he is facing. That is exactly what Smart did Thursday night, and it reflects the kind of locker room culture the Lakers need to maintain as the postseason approaches. The team needs everyone pulling in the same direction, and Smart's public support of Ayton sends a message that the group has not given up on the center or the vision of what this roster can be when healthy and clicking. A bombshell report from ESPN's Baxter Holmes has pulled back the curtain on one of the most dramatic behind-the-scenes stories in Los Angeles Lakers history. According to the report, former team governor Jeanie Buss developed a serious and private resentment toward franchise star LeBron James over multiple years, one that grew severe enough that she seriously considered trading him to the Los Angeles Clippers, the Lakers' crosstown rivals, as far back as 2022. The ESPN investigation, which took a deep look at the internal conflicts that ultimately drove the sale of the franchise to businessman Mark Walter at a reported valuation of $10 billion, reveals a complicated and tense dynamic between Buss and James that was largely hidden from public view. Publicly, the two appeared to maintain a professional and even warm relationship. Behind the scenes, according to sources cited in the report, the relationship had deteriorated significantly. The roots of the tension, according to Holmes' reporting, go back to the very beginning of the James era in Los Angeles. Sources close to the organization told ESPN that Buss was privately bothered by the perception that James had saved the Lakers when he joined the team in free agency in 2018. From her perspective, it was James who chose the Lakers, not the other way around, and she resented the narrative that credited him for rescuing a struggling franchise rather than acknowledging the work of team leadership in building an attractive destination. That resentment began to build quietly from almost the moment he arrived. Things took a turn for the worse in the summer of 2021 when the Lakers executed a trade to bring Russell Westbrook to Los Angeles. The move was widely understood to have been made in part to satisfy James, who had influence over personnel decisions through his representation by Clutch Sports. The Westbrook deal proved to be one of the most costly mistakes in recent franchise history. Los Angeles finished that season with a 33-49 record and missed the playoffs entirely. As the blame began to circulate, sources told ESPN that Buss became frustrated with what she saw as James distancing himself from responsibility for the acquisition. By 2022, those frustrations had escalated to a dramatic point. Multiple sources told Holmes that Buss privately considered not extending James's contract at all, and later that same year went as far as exploring the idea of trading him to the Clippers. The thought of sending the face of the franchise to the team's fiercest local rival would have been a seismic move in NBA history, a decision that would have reshaped both organizations and sent shockwaves through the entire league. Ultimately, the trade never happened, and James eventually signed a new 2-year contract worth $104 million in July 2024 that included a no-trade clause, ending any possibility of a forced move. The report also highlights Buss's feelings about James being insufficiently grateful for the team's decision to draft his son, Bronny James, in the second round of the 2024 NBA draft with the 55th pick. Sources told ESPN that Buss expected James to show appreciation for the organizational gesture and felt that he did not. That grievance added another layer to an already complicated relationship. James addressed the reporting publicly in late January 2026, saying the revelations did not bother him and that he was focused on basketball. The broader context around this story involves the Buss family dynamics and the eventual sale of the team. The ESPN report details significant infighting among Jeanie's siblings, with brothers Joey and Jesse Buss losing their front office roles following the sale to Mark Walter, who also co-owns the Los Angeles Dodgers. The family retained only 17% ownership of the franchise following the transaction. Jeanie Buss has remained as team governor under the new ownership structure. As for James, he remains a key figure for the Lakers this season, and the story of what nearly happened behind closed doors adds a remarkable dimension to what has already been an extraordinary tenure in purple and gold. The relationship between player and ownership may have been far more fractured than anyone on the outside ever realized. The timing of the report landing during the current 2025-26 season is notable. James is in his 23rd year in the league, breaking NBA records and continuing to perform at an elite level. The question of whether he will return to Los Angeles next season has been a running storyline throughout the year, with many sources suggesting a departure is likely. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been frequently mentioned as a potential destination for one final chapter in his career, as have the Golden State Warriors. Against that backdrop, learning that the relationship between James and team leadership was privately strained for years gives the eventual farewell, whenever it comes, a more complicated and layered feeling than a simple case of a superstar choosing to ride off into the sunset on his own terms. The Westbrook trade remains the central inflection point in this story. It was a decision that cost the franchise dearly on the court, and it apparently cost something off the court as well, widening a gap between two powerful figures that was never fully repaired. What the ESPN investigation ultimately reveals is that great franchises are not immune to the human tensions that come with power, money, and competing visions. The Lakers endured all of it privately while trying to maintain a championship-level operation publicly.